And we're live.
All right.
There's a lot of crickets. There
What do you mean crickets, man? What do
we
you?
go.
I am sick and tired of you and your freakish talking crickets. Hey, beautiful people, what's going on? Welcome back to another Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays pre-shows, and just getting warmed up, playing with some things, getting ready to talk about penguins, and they're going on. It's terrifying.
All the penguin sauce is about to come flurrying your way.
I wonder if there is actually a penguin sauce. I'm not going to look that up. I'm not that brave.
Let's see. I am kind of curious now. Penguin sauce. Oh, okay. All right. Then this needs some Discord.
What are you trying to say, Turbo Brad? Is that a challenge? Hey, Jill.
That was like the first result is like, okay.
Yo, do you got some penguin sauce? You know what? I may have to go to the grocery after all, Pedro, because I want to ask the cashier that. And she'll be like,
Hey, Jill.
she or he or whoever will be like, I don't think we carry penguins. I'm like, listen, I'm just trying to score some weed, man. Come on. You got any penguin sauce?
It's code.
I'm just saying, you want to give somebody a story to tell when they get home? That'll do it.
So, this 2-meter tall dude walks in and just asks me, do you have any penguin sauce?
Penguin sauce? He's like, penguin sauce, you know what I'm saying? Right. Right.
Penguin sauce, yeah.
All right, let me see.
Apparently, there's a spicy penguin sauce, which is a alright hot sauce, I guess.
I've clearly never seen it in my entire life because I would have bought that on site. I mean, it could have been like penguin sauce, hot sauce contains eels. I was like, don't care. Buying that. Not that I have anything against eels. Mostly.
Penguin hot.
That. All right.
It's got some penguins on it. That's something.
It's got that going for it, man.
Green chili salsa, smoked chili sauce, original chili sauce, and spicy plum sauce. Spicy plum sauce. Eh. See, I've heard of prune juice, and that's one of the things that confuses me because you get your plums, they're round and plump, and you could probably squeeze them for some juice. But then you turn them into prunes, and they lose a lot of the water. They lose a lot of the juice.
Mm-hmm.
So why the hell would you have prune juice?
Because it's marketed better than plum juice? I don't know.
That showed up at work today because we were talking about the duplicity of raisins. and how every now and then you think, "Ooh, chocolate chip cookies." No, those are raisins. That deserves the rest of the rest of that raisin cookie
Mhm.
deserves to be thrown like a frisbee at the person who bought it,
I don't know, man. I've
preferably at
never
their forehead.
understood like the actual hate for raisin cookies. You're not eating the cookie for your health. I mean, if somebody tries to sneak a little raisin in there, it's not that big a deal. What you
But
got to be,
raisins don't taste good.
tell you what I had to be careful of because it was marketed as I don't mind dried fruit. I maybe eat enough to fend off scurvy. That's about it. I don't like sweets. And I just bought a thing of dried plums. And I was like, oh, dried plums. It sounds edible. And I'm kind of like Invader Zim with waffles. I was like, maybe I can tolerate that. And nom through like half the thing, and it was pretty large. Like, whoa, oh man, I'm feeling quite fluid. Then it clicked, and I was like, wait a tick, dried plum. Those are you lying bastard, dried fruit. You should have said prunes on it.
Prunes are way too mainstream. You gotta have dried plums.
Yeah. See, Nori thought it was hilarious.
Yep.
That's why we love Strider, always asking the obvious questions.
If Jill could hear Nori in the background, yeah.
Everyone can hear Nori. I can imagine how these mics pick up everything at certain gain levels, and Nori's very easy to hear. There's certain frequency responses.
Yeah, her pitch is just high enough. Get better headphones, Strider.
Listen, just put
Those
on the
crappy Bluetooth.
dude. We will eventually have the audio stream up and going. That is forecasted for the future. That's the thing. But for like right now, life hack: put the video on, close your eyes, audio stream.
Even the crappy Bluetooth headset I got to listen to stuff while I'm on the bus. The sound quality isn't terrible. It's not particularly good, but it isn't terrible. But what I use it for the most is for keeping my hair in check when it's windy outside, and to prevent my ears from falling off because it's way too damn cold.
You wear it as like a, what do they call it? Like a beret type hair pullback thing, whatever that thing is called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a bandana. It's
I don't know
I
the
guess you
English
could
word
use a
for it.
bandana for that.
The hair pulley back type thing. Geordie
Yeah.
LaForge visor. That thing.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, most people seem to use bandanas.
All right. We are.
Some headband type thing. One that's shaped like a pretty little tiara because I'm a pretty little princess. There's an audio clip you can take out of context.
I think we're about set up. Ready to go.
Yes. My back is warm. I'm gonna put my hand back there too.
Man, I thought it was. I really did when I bought Turbojet. It was like really pretentious. It's like, oh, it has heated leather seats, individual controls. It's like, that's pretentious. Man, those things rock. Those are awesome. You can get in just like, boom, cut it on 5, toasty, and then you cut it down to like 2 because you start sweating.
Yeah. And that's when you get swamp ass.
It's not as advanced as my friend's. He's got one of the new Corvettes with air conditioning built into the seats.
Ooh.
It's like, okay, I guess that's a feature.
There's also, I was looking at cars because I really want a car, but I found myself digging through the Dacia website because the Sandero is pretty cheap and it kept showing up as a pretty good car, apparently. And one of the things you can get is an Alcantara heated steering wheel. That's tempting because, you know, pretty cold hands, and you put the hands on the steering wheel, it's like,
That'd be neat. And it's like, what's that option? Oh, 1,500. It's like, yeah, gloves.
Yeah. It's an extra £1,000 on top of the price of the car, so no. And the car, like the base model, the most expensive base model, which comes with the diesel engine with the best mileage and the most horsepower and everything, costs like £9,000. That's pretty good. That's manageable. And another £1,000 just for the heated steering wheel. It's a bit much.
That is a bit on the high side. All right. You ready to do this thing, man?
Yep.
All right.
Let's kick it.
Let me casually try to position things. Glass desk, bad idea.
Yeah, this well, it's not a mouse mat, it's a desk mat. But it's awesome. It's not as cold as the wooden table below it. It's slightly warmer and it's fluffy. And I can just put things down and it doesn't make any noise. I like it. It was the cheapest mouse mat on Amazon too.
All right.
It's Wednesday, Arthur. Frank is in choir practice.
But I didn't even dignify it with a response. Everyone knows what Frank said. All right. You're going to launch this. I'll throw it to you, and let's do it. How do you get indigestion from tea? Explain this to me. All right. And
Kernel 415 is now out.
NVIDIA has done goofed again.
Mozilla makes it rain.
And the Italian military goes open source? Question mark. I don't know, but I do know it's another great day for Linux, everyone. So let's go. And welcome back to Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, where we're going to sit back, relax, and talk about some of the fun things we found going on in Linux land. I'm Venn Stone, joined by my co-host, Pedro, as always,
Hello.
every week to discuss some of the craziness. Hey, man, how are things in Britannia? I heard you had some bouncing rain.
Yeah, we had bouncy rain today. Middle of the morning, it just started hailing. It was raining at first, and then just hail all over the place. Nathan got up, was like, "Oh, bouncy rain, nice."
Bouncy rain. Did you throw something at him?
No, I got up and looked out the window. What the hell was he talking about? It's like, oh, okay, bouncy rain. I get it, right.
Not a whole lot to report over here, except, like, 4 hours ago, I decided to rip apart our entire audio chain. It's like, I have an idea. Let's test it out before the show. So if we explode, implode, or terraplode, I don't even know if that's a word, but it is now. That's what has happen. So the big news this week, 415 is out and everything has come up Millhouse, correct?
Kind of, yeah. Actually, I guess those delays and those increased numbers in release candidates did prove to, you know, work themselves out to a decent little kernel. I've been testing it on this box and on the laptop, that scavenged HP laptop I use. It is holding up pretty well. There are no noticeable performance impacts from the meltdown or what was the other one? Spectre. The Spectre patches. None of those seem to. The ones that are in, and Venn will get into that a bit more. Those don't seem to have any measurable performance impact. Now, the Retpoline, however you want to say it, those patches that Google came up with, those aren't in the kernel yet, but they say they are working on it, so that's something. I did run into an issue with the laptop because at work we have Dell D1000 docks, which have a little display driver because they're USB 3.0 docks, and if you want to push displays out through that, you need a specific driver. And the kernel module does not build against 415, so that will need a bit of an update.
Well, some of the big news outside of Spectre, I think, is Vega support out of the box, which is really,
yes.
really good news, and I want support to that. I'd love my next purchase to be an AMD card. Let's hope that happens. Maybe it is. But, even Linus kind of throws down with the Spectre stuff. He's like, nothing's really done here with the Spectre meltdown. A lot of work is still left to be done, and what does he say? To quote, perhaps equally importantly, to actually get the biggest fix for indirect branch migrations, you need to not just the kernel updates, you need to have a compiler with support for the indirect branch model. So it doesn't fix everything, but hey, it's there. And I didn't notice anything crazy. I think the biggest issue, and I'm not even calling it an issue, what is V4 Linux, the V4L2 loopback device that we use for the virtual cams that we're using right now, didn't compile out of the box. I had to clone the Git again. Ooh, torture. But outside of that, we're running it right now to record the show, so no complaints. But in order to run 415, you had to install NVIDIA with your own NVIDIA 390, and the latest stable version is not 19, it's 0.25, and I think it's kind of a hot piece of busted mess.
Oh yeah,
it's there. I installed it, works with 415, few small issues. Now on Ubuntu 17.10, Light DM login screens just blank, gives you a cursor. You just gotta take it on good faith. Good faith that your password box is there waiting on you, which it was. Chrome and Chromium-based browsers, they have some serious stuttering issues. I mean, annoying ones. Like, haven't had that problem with Firefox. So I've been using Firefox, and what I'd like to know, maybe somebody playing the home game can tell me, is there a way to import all my Google logins and all that fun stuff into Firefox? Because I use what works, and it is a bad stuttery nightmare, even if you disable GL accelerated canvas or anything like that. Now you can, there's a small fix that'll speed it up, especially with Vivaldi or Chromium, is if you go into Chrome flags and force enable rasterization. That will help you out a little bit. But Pedro, I wanted to ask you this. I think what this does, man, is it kind of highlights just how good NVIDIA drivers have been in the past, because we don't expect this from them.
And the issues don't stop there. Now, admittedly, I didn't run into the Light DM blank login screen. It seems to be working just fine on my end, but I did run into an issue which was very, very annoying. See, the first thing I do the moment I install new drivers is I fire up all the games and all the benchmarks I usually do to see if there was any performance loss with the new drivers, just to be sure. And I didn't notice any performance loss. Quite the opposite. A lot of the benchmarks actually gave me slightly higher scores than previously. But there was an issue, a very significant issue, because I was looking at Unigine superposition, and at 1080p extreme, even the 1080 can only push like 26 frames on average. And whenever that frame rate dropped below 25, I would see black tearing across the secondary monitor. It's like, what the hell's going on here? So I did a little bit of digging, and I went to the NVIDIA developer forums. There will be a link in the show note for that thread. I'm not the only one. Turns out this is a widespread issue. There's a lot of people who also ran into that. That's really annoying.
No, man. One thing I was worried about with the beta version of this driver, which was equally as shocking when it was released, because we're not used to it. You know, Google has defiled what beta means because they keep stuff until it's a finished product. It was janky. It had issues, like it wouldn't detect my third monitor unless I rotated it. Strange things. None of that here. Gaming performance seemed the same. Didn't have any real complaints for it. But yeah, they got to fix that Chrome. I don't know who to blame. That irritates me more than anything else. I don't know who to scream at. I was like, should I scream at Google? Should I scream at NVIDIA? Why not both? And it'll be impotent rage all over the internet. And maybe that'll accomplish something, because it won't. But
yeah.
Speaking of Chrome 64 is out for Mac, that other operating system, and most importantly, Linux with CPU migrations, improved popped up. I like that popped up blocker. And a little feature I like to call ZD Netaway. Yeah, that is definitely a thing. The migrations in Chrome 64 to the V8 JavaScript engine, they're going to protect against the speculative side channel attacks, booga, improved pop-up blocker, and back to what I was talking about, the site-wide audio muting setting, the ZDNet filter. It is kind of brilliant. I like that because for worse or for really worse, one thing that we have definitely seen, I'm sure you've noticed this, is autoplay videos. Oh, yeah. It's so bad.
They happen a lot. It's like you go to a news site and you start hearing just like, ooh, where's that coming from? And then you struggle to find the video because it's all the way at the top of the page. It's like the teeny tiny window on a corner there. All right.
That's the worst thing. They'll have it. They know you don't want to watch it, but they still want to keep it there, and it'll minimize and continue playing. And that's bad. It's worse than the takeover pages. You know, where they just have the big, hey, subscribe to our thing.
JavaScript. That's one of the things they should actually do with the pop-up blocker. It's those JavaScript pop-ups, which aren't actually pop-ups since they don't spawn a new tab or a new window, but they cover up the whole thing. That's why I guess uBlock Origin isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, definitely a thing. And where I'm like, it's like JavaScript to scale. I use, you know, what is it? NoScript. And rarely will I whitelist a site because most sites function just fine without it. And you constantly end up with, oh, I'll enable it for this site and see what's, oh, holy heck, nope. Let's put that back where it was. That was frightening. So we've talked about Chrome. We need to talk about Mozilla, man.
Oh, yes. And Mozilla, they're doing a thing. They're talking about Moss for the Q4 of 2017, what just ended. And, well, the title of the article is supporting the Python ecosystem. So Strider is possibly in tears right now, jumping for joy, whatever he does. I don't know. He's French. But yeah, we love Strider. Don't get me wrong. But they are, like they've been doing over the past couple of months, they have been donating money to open source projects that they think will improve something that they're doing right now or something that they may do in the not too distant future. And right now they're giving over $70,000 to the Rust AV project, which aims to re-implement libav in Rust. Besides my obvious question of why,
thank you.
It is actually good to see. It is actually good to see Mozilla sort of giving back to the community. And even though Firefox isn't exactly the dominant browser, they do get some money to develop it, and they find just enough to give away to other people. So that's awesome.
Yeah, man. Good on Mozilla. I mean, 2017, Mozilla has invested 1.6 million wet stinky cashes in supporting open source projects. And this quarter, under the, what do they call it, the secure open source arms of Moz, expanded the scope of the program. They've done a lot of cool stuff with the secure code projects, applications. You might want to pay attention to this if you want some of that sweet funding for foundational technology and mission partners. That remains open until the end of this month. So yeah, go check that out again in the show notes, and
Yep.
maybe you can get some of the Mozilla sponsory love. But Pedro, Italy's not your. I know Spain's your favorite country, but close.
Yeah,
Close is
clearly.
Italy, and we've lost some governments to Microsoft lately, which we've had to talk about. We've gained some, but
Mhm.
Italy's military, of all things, seems kind of
Yeah,
strange.
it turns out they're not happy with having to pay lots and lots of euros, I guess. Yeah, Italy is in euros. To renew their Microsoft Office licenses, and they decided to adopt a LibreOffice. Yep, the Open Document Foundation is basically very happy, and it's great to see that an official government organization like the Italian military are adopting the open document formats and using LibreOffice to get their show on the road, so to speak. And it's just good to see. They say the Difesa, sorry, it's Italian. The project is going to save them from 26 to 29 million euros in the future. That's a significant chunk of cash right there.
Oh, it absolutely is, man. I mean, they're talking about switching over 8,000 PC workstations to LibreOffice, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
great. They have their own advocacy group. Uh, right on. It's the military, whatever you want to think of that. Just open source. That's anything's better than Microsoft Office, and the
Yeah.
lock-in that comes behind it. It is straight up Hydra. Hashtag Hell Hydra. They're also contemplating the use of Linux for their desktop workstation. So that's how you get them. You give them the taste. Give them the taste. And
Mm-hmm.
unlike your home country of Portugal, which is probably still running DOS, right?
Well, some hospitals are still running DOS. The hospital in my hometown is still very much running DOS because it still works. But if only the rest of the country was also running DOS, maybe they wouldn't have spent several million euros, like 100 million euros, to renew Windows licenses, Office licenses on all the official government branches. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was announced to great fanfare and to the surprise of absolutely no one. It is
Nope.
Xorg will in fact be the default for 1804 Ubuntu LTS. And all right, one of the things they pointed out, why opt for Xorg by default? There are three main reasons. One of them's legit, son. Recoverability from shell crashes and less dramatic. Well, they are less dramatic under Xorg because it's not like a shell crash under Wayland will take down the entire. Yes, it absolutely will.
Yup.
I
Yeah,
got
it
a little
does.
bit of hope because on their web zone, they mentioned the fact that Pipewire, just
Mhm.
mentioning it, saying it, and admitting it's a thing, Pedro gives me a little bit of hope that Canonical will not try to mirror Pipewire. You know?
Yeah, I think with the looming IPO on the horizon, still waiting on that one, Canonical. Um, I'm willing to bet that they realize that the not invented here philosophy doesn't really work when no one else wants to use what you invent. So I think they're just going, it's like, okay, there's a lot of support behind Pipewire. We already talked about Pipewire here on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's trying to do for video what Pulse Audio did for audio. And if they can do it, if they can get rid of all the video finagling that comes with GStreamer and everything else, if they can get that all centralized in the Pipewire, whatever you want to call it, it's a good idea.
Well,
And it's something I'm very much looking forward to. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, and kind of wish that I quit mining things, and I might be able to pick up a Vega-based card because I could start legitimately playing around with Wayland with that. Because NVIDIA, not so much, and I don't think you're going to be seeing that as a default session until this chicken and chainsaw thing gets sorted out. With you know, NVIDIA saying, okay, let's actually make some functional closed source horrible evil drivers for it, and definitely make that a thing. So you've been jonesing for a Chromebook for some bizarre moon reason. And
It's a toy. I like toys.
hey man, I feel you on that. We all like toys. But Canonical's like, yo, maybe you got a Chromebook. Maybe you want some of that sweet Ubuntu on it, right?
And well, you can do it. It's basically a teeny tiny tutorial telling you how to install Ubuntu on a Chromebook, and they use Crouton like sensible people. Again, it's just more evidence that Canonical seems to realize that third-party tools may be a good thing. But yeah, they teach you how to use Crouton, and you can install whichever version of Ubuntu. They use the regular default GNOME one, but you can use it to install Kubuntu, Zubuntu, Lubuntu, whatever. So that's good. It's basically Canonical's closest official support to Chromebooks as we'll ever see.
This is true. However, I do feel, you know, this is basically a handy guide that's going to help people understand why that $200 budget Chromebook was running Chromos in the first place. Because later on, I think it was bullet point 5 at the end. It's like, do you like playing games? Sudo apt install Steam. Yeah, you're going to have a bad time. .jpeg on that one. Don't. I mean, unless you're going to be playing some very minimalistic 2D, not really accelerated anything, right? Am I being too harsh on that?
You are basically going to get the exact same experience you would from any other laptop that just uses the Intel integrated graphics, which, to be fair, nowadays are actually not completely horrible because they support tessellation, they support Vulkan, so maybe if we start seeing more Vulkan games, you can actually put that 200 cheapo Chromebook to use and play some nice looking games with good looking graphics at a decent frame rate.
And we should put out with Crouton. I mean, it's not like you have to go scorched earth policy. You can switch back and forth.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Movie Phone's dead, but Movie Box is here to save us because you're too lazy to figure out what movies you want to watch and or don't have Netflix is the only other thing I can think about. Machine learning movie recommendation engine. It is a thing. It's open source. I thought it was kind of neat. It's a content-based machine learning recommended system built with the powers of TF, IDF, and cosine similarities. Just a fun little experiment.
Using maths to recommend movies.
Hey, all right. Wait. Okay, Time out. What do you think Netflix uses? Manatees.
Yeah. yeah, they probably use a very similar system. They give movies certain IDs based on whichever genre they fit into, and then they try to recommend stuff that fits that same ID. Yeah. Probably a very similar system to what Movie Box is using. Though they have a little screenshot of a test they ran, which the given movie was Asterix and Obelix, God Save Britannia. And the top three, the first one was Asterix the Gaul. The second one was Asterix and the Vikings. And the third one was Carry On Cleo. Okay, I can get the Cleopatra reference and the Asterix and Obelix tie-in, but really, Carry On Cleo.
Hey man, it's a fun little project. I just wanted to give it a plug because what I need AI to figure out what movie I don't have enough time to watch anything. I'm so far behind. It's miserable. Nori, your partner in crime, likes to do the art stuff, and one thing like support for the tablets and drawing pads, not so hot on Linux, man. Not so great.
No, it isn't. Especially if you have one of those off-brands, it's not exactly a Wacom by any means. Getting that to work, you're mostly relying on the Wacom driver because that's the most mature one and it does support the generic ones. This, on the other hand, this is the Wacom SmartPad support for Linux. And the Wacom SmartPad is what you can see at the picture at the top. You basically have a paper notebook where you do your drawings and it digitizes the pad itself, feels the pressure, and it digitizes it to a tablet or whatever you happen to have with the app installed. And you can then export it as a vector drawing to use in, say, Inkscape. But I actually was a bit confused when I started reading this article because Bamboo themselves have an application that's called Inkspace and not Inkscape. They kind of switched the P and the C around. So it's like, wait, Inkspace? Doesn't that? Oh, right, Inkspace. Right. But yeah, Inkspace is the mobile app that they use. And right now, the project, what they're trying to do is get the Bamboo Spark, the Bamboo Slate, the Bamboo Folio, and the Intuos Pro paper to be usable with Linux. Now, this is very early days, so even the Bluetooth support for the SmartPad is iffy. It can only, if you sync it to Linux, it basically forgets all the other syncs that it ever did. So if you want to sync it back to your phone or your tablet, you're going to have to make it forget the Linux desktop or laptop that you synced it to. So yeah, it is still a bit iffy, but getting proper support for all Wacom devices, not just these smart pads, is a really good way to get professional hobby or hobbyist artists looking to, you know, maybe move away from the Macs or the Windows and starting to look at Linux instead, which is actually one of Nori's big complaints is her drawing tablet that I got her a few years back is still not properly supported on Linux. It sort of works, but it is very much iffy. So better support, please.
That's why I use crayons, because they're delicious. No, that's good to see support like that. I'm digging it. Good luck wrestling it out of somebody who's fully bought into the Apple reality distortion complex, because they're not. They'll probably cut you if you try to get them to use something other than that business. Neat. Article is legit, though. I mean, what you said, it's early days, progress to be made, so it could take another 30, possibly 35 more seconds before we have full support up and running. Real quick mention before we get out of here. It's a couple of weeks back, I think it was Penny in Chat Realm asked, hey man, how do I set up RAID 1 on Linux? And guess what? Out of all people, PC Gamer has a reasonably done, easy to follow guide for setting up RAID on Linux. And it's not completely backwards insane. It's something I feel that we can say, hey, if you're looking to do this, this is pretty straightforward. I don't think you'll bork anything with these instructions, and they will be in the show notes. Did you notice anything?
Yeah, I noticed the firmware RAID option as you're scrolling past it now. They actually give you what you'll need to do if you, instead of using MDADM, like a sane person would, if you'd like to do it in firmware RAID, which I've done in the past, Venn is doing right now. So yeah, it is there. It's an option. But RAID 1 is for the weak. You either YOLO RAID that business or just don't bother.
Hey man, YOLO RAID is best RAID, and you gotta live dangerously with these SSDs because they're too reliable. So if you stack two of them, you can danger zone it just a little bit more. Maybe just go crazy. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, outside of like replication, if you got an NVMe drive, you're good, because sometimes I just benchmark it so I could see it transfer like 2.5 gigabytes a second. I was like, oh, that's good.
Yep.
No other reason. So, Pedro, let's take a hot second and thank the lovely, beautiful people who make this show possible. And head over to linuxgamecast.com/support, where we get all this good stuff set up, ready to go. We got Patreon, we got Amazon affiliate links, we got Newegg, a Humble Bundle. They have a really raunchy book bundle, which made me laugh. I'm family-friendly show, but we're not going to talk about that. Some PayPal, some Bitcoin. and all the standard jazz that we do have. But our favorite part is to thank some of the people who have made this show possible. And this week, we have a new patron, man. We have a new patron.
Yes, we do. Mr. Daniel Y is a new Patreon. Thank you very, very much. Speaking of Patreon, Venn, you put there in the show notes that there's some big announcement you'd like to make. Woo, 224. Hey, we're getting up there. 113 patrons.
Yeah. Woo. Yes. Yeah, man. I might have snuck in a few goals when people weren't looking, buddy. I'm being a little.
Yeah.
So we got our merch run that is up on the board, but
Yes.
if I click this right button, here's the big news.
Ooh, 260.
This is the big one right here. At 260, Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays. It's going to get it. It's going to be a big boy. It's going to become an official thing. It's going to have its own RSS feed, so you can pop it on your TV, your Roku, anything like that, and then you can watch the show. That was our big news, Pedro. Nothing more to announce, and that's the best I can do, man.
Yeah, nothing whatsoever. Maybe the goal immediately after that? No?
Oh, you mean that little thing? Oh, fine. Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
You're just trying to belittle my RSS feed. That's going to be incredibly fun. We're just playing around. Hey, man, we do have a goal because we want to bring Jill on full time. It's called Raising the Bar. You know Jill. She's in Shot Realm right now from Linux Chicks LA. Will be joining us each and every week, every Wednesday, to help us sit back, relax, and talk about the cool things going on in the world of Linux. We are definitely looking forward to that and to make that happen, because that's just going to be the beginning of Jill's involvement. We got some other stuff planned, and it's not terribly secret, but you can kind of read around the lines. So, hey, man, we're starting out a new month, and I'm pretty sure we're going to smash that little goal, because it's like, what are we, $40 off?
Yeah.
Probably safe bet to say Jill will be joining us in February, most of it.
Most likely, yeah.
Did I forget anything? Oh, yeah, we have, oh, crap, man. Pedro, get angry. You almost
Yeah,
let
you
me
have
forget.
some big ideas there. Yeah.
No, I got to think.
Oh!
I was leaning on it. Jonas Rulio, J. Rulio, picked this up from our Amazon Wish Zone. It is like legit the Amerit Power Conditioner, and it has French lettering on it, which is awesome. We put this in the rack.
It's the fur man.
He sent us a little note. Hi, Venn, Jordan, Pedro. Enjoy the clean AC. One day I'll join you for rocket cars, which is great. You get to send us a little note.
Woo-hoo.
That went immediately into the rack, and it's powering it right now. That's awesome. Yeah, speaking of the studio stuff, because we do have one more goal that we just threw in, and I kind of don't want to talk about it because it's achievable, and it's I don't even want to look at the camera because it's scary, man. Julio, thank you so much for that, man. You guys have, I still think it's a practical joke being played on us every time something disappears from our wish zone, because it just radically just like lets us leapfrog, and it's like cheat mode. But one last little tiny goal. All right,
He says.
yeah, you see, Pedro, I'm about to speak it into existence. So,
Yes.
all right. It's called the Kansas Alpha Site, kind of like Stargate Alpha Sites, man, which is going to be a gigabit powered madhouse of debauchery / open studio, where everyone can come in and watch the shows live. We can bring Pedro in, we can bring Jordan in live, and we're going to set it up here, not here, because that's one of the downsides, because I'd like to sell my house at some point. Yeah, so making a party fun house, a little beta site, and the whole purpose of this is to prepare. Well, it's going to be in preparation for the eventual move to Kansas, which is our large goal, where we will be harming log cabins. We're going to build a log cabin with Google Fiber, but I'm kind of shopping around places right now because we have access in Athens to gigabit symmetrical through AT&T. And that's all I want to say about that, because that's a very achievable thing, and it's going to cause me to lose sleep. So there's that at the end of the day, man. Okay.
You can cause Venn physical pain again.
Yeah, you better be very
Just
careful
saying.
because then I'm going to fly you out here and I'm going to cause you physical pain.
Yeah. Jet lag probably gonna bite me.
Now, flying back's not bad. It's flying there that loops you pretty
Yeah.
bad. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a little slice of pie. 3.14 bites of goodness coming right at you, where we talk about some of the tiny little embedded things. And this week, it's a little gaming related, man.
Yes, it is. Someone actually turned a Genesis portable into something that's mildly useful, and you can see just how crammed everything is in there. There's a bit of a video as well. So yeah, it's a Raspberry Pi Zero, or you can also use this a Raspberry Pi Zero W if you want some Wi-Fi's. And this crazy person, which I had the name of and disappeared. Where is it? Nah. Starfire. There it is. Starfire has taken one of his Genesis portables apart, removed all the contents, and basically came up with his own very hacky way to shove the Raspberry Pi Zero in there with a screen, a battery, and wire the connectors and everything else. The connectors for the buttons. So it is a portable gaming machine, a very, very portable gaming machine, absolutely teeny tiny, and it has a Raspberry Pi in it. That's a full computer in a teeny tiny package.
Though it absolutely is, and I take offense at you calling that hacky. That's very well done. Now listen, keeping the case on, you got a LiPo battery in there, and that business is tight. Mm-hmm. I would say that would only register like a 1 out of 10 on the TSA meter. That would easily go through.
No, they see, oh, it's one of those portable things that you can play games on. All right.
And
not unlike anything that Linux Neuro does.
I'm just saying, just make sure the back is like glued on, because if they crack the back and they're like, nope, yeah, you're going to get some extra screening. But to continue our little gaming trend, Amazon has the Raspberry 3 retro gaming kit up for 65 what stinky cashes. And
oh yes,
this is an interesting piece of kit, man. I mean, you get your Raspberry, you get your little NES, original clone, you get your HDMI cables, a couple of heat sinks, UBS drive, power supply, 32 gig SSD card. Everything's kind of set up. You just stick the last little bits together and bam, you have your piece of kit. And I just wanted to throw this out there because, okay, yes, you can probably get the parts sourced individually cheaper, but if you're just looking for, man, all right, I just want to build the thing and I'm done with it, say I did it, or if you want to buy a couple of these kits for school and say, here,
or to give someone who has an enterprising little spawn who you'd like to maybe get into the work, get into the handcrafting, hand building stuff, you get them a kit. It's like a birthday gift, Christmas present, whatever. This one is pretty good. $65 for everything that's included. That's the Raspberry Pi case and everything else that Venn mentioned. That's a pretty good price. You're going to be hard pressed to find that good an SD card and the Raspberry Pi and the NES looking case for that low, let alone all the cables and the power adapters and everything else.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Adafruit probably has something similar, but then again, this is also on Amazon, and you probably already have Amazon Prime.
Probably.
Yeah, that's the thing. Pedro, sometimes people like to talk back to us because we got something wrong, or we don't know what we're talking about, or a combination of both of those. How can they go about doing that?
Yeah. Well, they can go about doing that by screaming general insults in our direction if they see us walking down the street, or going to linuxgamecast.com, clicking on the contact button and picking LWDW from the little drop-downy box. Then all they need to do is fill in the form. It's really easy. They can, again, shout all manner of insults at us. Chances are we'll probably cover those in that Saturday show with the foul language and everything else, what we do. But here, we are... Go ahead.
If anybody tried to send some feedback our way the day before yesterday for like a 2-hour period, I was upgrading PHP to 5.6 and it wasn't working, and I had to fight with SMTP to make that work. So you might want to send it back again because it probably got bounced. But we're a podcast. If you don't know we're a podcast, I think everyone does because like 3% watch YouTube videos. And they're like, wait a minute, you have a YouTube video? I was like, yeah, all right. But Paul had a little question for us, man.
Yes. A very teeny tiny, very concise question. He says, hi. I try and listen to your podcast on my Sonos system. Your podcast will not play. It says the podcast is not formatted right. Any ideas? Well, Venn, you're the one with the Sonos, so I'll defer to you.
Oh, what are you accusing me of having a Sonos, man? Is that the line of questioning?
It's not open source.
What are you doing? My first question to you, sir, is: are you using TuneIn with your Sonos? Because I checked that and the feed was working with the TuneIn player. That's how you can do it with the Sonos. But usually how I listen to podcasts with, especially the kitchen Sonos, I call it the kitchen Sonos because that's the one that's in the kitchen. It's always kind of funky. I just use the aux, and I know that's not a solution to your problem. But I use that with, a tablet. It's a 3.5 millimeter TRS. No issues there. Our feed passes the iTunes validation, and it's on everything. So I don't know. I can't tell you it's a problem on our end. Maybe somebody else knows a workaround or a solution so they can write us back and we can get to that next week. Sorry, it doesn't. Contact Sonos. Like, let them know if you have a particular issue, because there's nothing with Sonos. There's a lot of different versions. I don't know. And you should get some good support because they're not cheap. It's definitely a thing. Something exploded on the internet and everyone wanted to get outraged about it. And I'm not outraged about any of this, but who is it? Simone or Simon?
Simon G, maybe.
Says, hey man.
Yeah, Simon G.
He says it's not Linux related, but what are your thoughts on the PC perspective? Drama, question mark. Should I be outraged? Question. Yes, get your pitchfork and I don't know. Get angry at Star Trek Discovery. Focus your rage where it should. I like Discovery. Come on, it's pretty good. I, like Pedro, pretty much had to go digging around. I was like, well, what did PC? Because I know a lot of people at PC. Per Josh has been on this very show, and so is Scott.
We've had Scott,
right?
Yeah.
I put a link in the show notes. It's something about Shroud. What was it called? Shroud Research.
Shroud Research.
That apparently was or was not disclosed. What do the kids say these days? It's a big nothing burger.
Yeah, there is an entire segment of the internet that's just looking for the next big drama so they can join the bandwagon and hate on someone. And this one was about a video that Adore TV made calling out PC Perspective on the AMD FreeSync stuff, the power draw on the RX 480, the non-disclosure of the 900p SSD that Intel gave to Ryan for him to do the white paper on Shroud Research, and then they used that very same sample to run the benchmarks on PC Per. And all of that boiled down to Ryan writing a very long Reddit post. And now, I am still blocked by Ryan Shroud on Twitter because I called him a shill for defending NVIDIA on the whole 970 3.5 gig thing. Well, I was a bit more crass than that in my language, and he said, you know what? Fine, you're blocked. And I'm still blocked, and I'm okay with that. He still hasn't really made any sort of amends to that.
Why would he? I've seen you argue on the internet. You think you're like a dog chasing a car, man. If you ever catch it, you wouldn't know what to do with it. I mean, it's a reflex reaction with you. I'm going to say this. I do try to watch the PC Pro. I didn't know about Shroud Research. I didn't know that was a thing. Maybe he's mentioned it. I'd never heard about it. I don't know if that's necessarily conflict of interest, but I'll tell you this, man. Their business is getting product samples, reviewing product samples, hopefully a little bit earlier than that. And I have seen Ryan talk about, he's like, yeah, sometimes you got to kind of play nice. You just can't go scorched earth on these people, or the next thing, thing Y comes out, you're not getting it. You got to go out and buy it, which they do go out and buy some stuff. But yeah, that does explain how they got the octane drives and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I'm not going to say maybe. That definitely should have been like, by the way, this is why we got access to it. Not like, oh, we don't know how we got it and stuff like that. But beautiful people, thank you for showing up. It's been fun. We're going to do this again next week. And the week after that, next week, Pedro, it's going to be 2 years that we've been doing this.
2 years. 2 years. 2 years. Funded by you lot.
This was a Patreon goal, and it keeps on, and we want to keep on doing it and make it better and bring people in. Let's go ahead and show those credits. They're kind of janky. I discovered a bug. See, I was debating on saying, hey man, I added that in post with effects. No, it's just some weird bug. The GL again, NVIDIA.
That's not a weird bug. Yeah, that is exactly what I'm seeing on my screens with the new NVIDIA drivers.
Okay,
so
I can only make this happen on the 3rd out of 4th monitor.
Yeah.
And it only did it with this, so...
Yeah, but that is exactly what I'm seeing, so NVIDIA, fix it!
I'll tell you how to disable... Well, see, I don't see it directly on the monitor, I only see it in the loopback device.
Yeah.
Which means you can't go, because you're not using a loopback device, buddy.
Yeah.
Boom. All right.
Yeah, it's the exact same effect.
Let's get this thing saved out. Save project as.
Yeah, OBS is apparently also affected by it. Guessing GLX, anything that's GLX accelerated, and if the frame rate is not according to whatever the NVIDIA driver is asking for, it shows that black tearing.
Yeah, Arthur, and it does remind me kind of like the tracking on VIA. I left it in. I left it in, and I knew that I could totes be like, that's an effect I added. I'm not going to lie to you people.
And yeah, it has certainly been a while since the language filter is now off, like Venn likes to say, since NVIDIA cocked up a driver release proper.
Yeah. I'm dealing with it right now, but you would think you would check something like, oh, I don't know, making like crippling Chrome's performance to the point where I feel like I'm running a single core Atom. I mean, let's face it, when everything's running Cricket, like loading Twitter's an application these days. I use TweetDeck most of the time, or our web zone, linuxcps.com, even with like the lazy load, the JavaScript that brings that in to save up on the bandwidth because we're pinching pennies, kids. And then when you just mouse over between tabs, not clicking on them, mousing over, it has it's real, man. It's real. And I don't know about you, man. I spend most of my time in a browser.
Yeah, it is. Even when I'm playing a video game, there's usually a YouTube video on the other screen just playing.
Oh, YouTube's
and
rough.
Much like you, much like you, I've resorted to the Firefox. Thankfully, I already have most of my passwords and everything synced to Firefox because I use Firefox on the laptop. I wanted to test the whole battery thing, and kudos to Mozilla. It does, in fact, give me a longer battery life with just browsing using Firefox than it does with just Chrome. So, kudos.
Good on them for that.
But yeah, it's
no issue whatsoever in Firefox 50. What are we, 56, 58, somewhere in there? And Quantum, Firefox Quantum. Nothing. It didn't even blink. So yeah, that needs to get sorted.
It does make you realize just how good NVIDIA's drivers tend to be, that when something breaks, you immediately notice it, and everything starts to go wrong.
So everybody get a good look at my, what do you think of this? My homemade noise dampener.
That looks very homemade, yes.
It's very
What is that made of?
These.
Oh. Oh, all right.
I had like 2 left over, and I was like, "Hey, man, I need something to like straight up just kill ambient." No, don't worry, kids. I'm going to buy I'm going to get that Heil PR30B, but in the interim, I pick up a real pop filter. But this was testing. I was like, wait a minute. All right, I just need to see what I can set the noise floor at. And I had some of these tiles left over, and of course, zip ties everywhere. Took it on. Tuned it in, got everything dialed in. I was like, oh, all right, so I can really take that down. I was like, wow, that works really good.
It's almost as if they use similar techniques to make the actual thing.
Right. So, life hack. Yes, Jill, it does. If you have foam tiling and you need to, it's soundproofing. So. Don't worry, I'll have a real pop filter this time next week. This was supposed to be a test. It's like, yeah, it works. I don't care what it looks like. I really don't. You should say some of the ridiculous stuff.
There's definitely some roughness to it. Yeah, that coat I got was very expensive, but it looks very nice. I very much like it.
Who brought up your coat? What?
You mentioned the stuff you wear.
Oh, okay. There's a connection.
Clothing I bought. Yes.
See, I wear ridiculous things.
But you're basically just daring people to call you out on it.
Listen, there might be a hint or two of that in there. All right, you
yes,
you might have just the smallest of valid points there, but it's like we were talking in Meet the Freemans in the after shows, and Steve-O was like, "Yeah, they sell boots, cowboy boots, in grocery stores in Texas." It's like, I know for a fact I've never seen grocery boots. That's what I'd call them too. Cowboy boots at a grocery store, because I would own a pair. You know where I got these boots? In a grocery store.
Well, like, you could ask for the penguin sauce too.
Penguin sauce. It's the reason I have that throw thing on the couch down here at the basement, because it was at Aldi's, and it's like, why are they selling bedsheet things at Aldi's? I gotta buy that.
For a chair for mixed with the working on the improvised pop filter.
Hey man, I got a lot of determination. We don't have much budget, but it works. All right.
Yep. All right. Yeah, speaking of, you mentioned Josh Walrath earlier. He's just posted a picture of a really bacony, really meaty looking burger on Twitter. God damn it, Josh.
Oh, stop.
Stop making me hungry.
Coffee. Tea's better.
The apple butter burger. Oh, that's not bacon. Those are caramelized onions. Oh, I can feel the heart attack, and it's just a picture.
None of that's true, by the way. Like the fat and all that stuff, the building blocks for your body is good for you. The whole high-fat heart attack thing's bullshit.
It's the extra bit of cholesterol that builds up in your veins and your arteries. That's what kills you.
No, it's sitting on your ass and smoking and like laying on the couch, sedentary lifestyle. That's what kills you.
Yes.
He didn't smoke or drink or anything. Yeah, but he spent 13 hours a day glued to a couch watching TV.
Yeah.
Nope, there's definitely the cheeseburgers
Yeah,
that did them in.
I walk 30 minutes to the bus, and then I walk another 5 minutes to the office, then another 5 and 30 to get back home. Unless I stop by Tesco's, at which point I'm hauling another 10 kilos of groceries home.
Get you a little wheelie cart.
Not an old lady. Yet.
I'm just saying, man, we probably got like wardrobe makeup budget. Maybe we could make something happen, man. That's all I'm saying. I'm just throwing out possibilities.
Those are going to be some weird ass bus rides for the other people as I'm putting on the old lady clothes.
In the bus. And they're really going to get freaked out because
Yes.
you're going to straight up put the hitman gloves on at the end and pull out a gun.
That's when the constable comes up and is like, care to explain the gun?
Oh. Jordan's here.
We have a Jordan.
Must be taking a poop. That's where the real work gets
Well,
done.
I too had a slow day at work today. It was mostly there weren't a whole lot of calls coming into the service desk, and there weren't a whole lot of people just walking in with issues. So I spent most of the day doing the mandatory e-learning training things. Now that I have a permanent contract, I gotta do that. It's the data information governance training. I have to do it once a year, and everything else is either every 2 or every 3 years. So I'm basically done for another year, which is nice. I did everything. It's mostly just common sense. Apply common sense and you'll figure out the answers.
Well, probably not tonight. I don't want to start digging into it, but definitely most of tomorrow. I'm going to be playing with the newest version of Solaris.
Oh yeah, the new beta they put out.
Know thy enemy. I'm really worried because they've locked up the security on the Yuffie boots on x86. So I know that call's coming in a month. It's like, yeah, we've bricked some things. It's like, yeah, you have. All right.
The way you worded it, Jill, it doesn't make it sound like a good thing. Just say it.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let it slide, man.
But yeah, absolutely looking forward to having Jill on LWDW.
Yeah, man. Finally, somebody knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, a little bit of contrast.
Yeah, kids, don't buy the expensive version of these. These are like 50-watt sneaky caches. They're like 42 quid. They don't have all the LEDs and blinky stuff on the front, but you know they work when you got the power thing on. And they have decent filters in them, which is important. No, they will not make your tone better or sound warmer, but they will protect your equipment.
I just like that it's called the Furman.
Condiciono de alimentación.
Alimentación. Yeah. It's a power supply conditioner.
You say so.
Just literally translated.
My brain actively fights that language.
I think people at work have also started to pick up on the fact that I'm not too big a fan of the Spanish. So they keep telling people, it's like, whenever someone asks, where are you from? It's like, oh, he's Spanish. Damn you, Nathan, shut up.
In Spanish. How do you tell the
That's a
difference?
rumor I already.
Have the
That's
difference.
a rumor I already have to fight on Saturday nights. I don't need it during the week in the office. Come on.
Oh, whatever. El Mateus. I don't
I mean, my name could very well be Spanish. Pedro is a very common Spanish name.
know.
Mateos, maybe not so much, but yeah. Yeah. Elon Musk put out a flamethrower,
Yeah, I did.
and the internet, and the internet's just going apeshit.
So, oh, it's pitch shift. I was playing around with pitch shift because I was dialing in the mixer after I pulled all the noodles out and stuck them back in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pedro can't hear this, but I accidentally figured out that. Wait, hang on. I gotta give it. Let's do that. Now, if I take a right, would you like to play a game? Trust me, it sounds very jigsawish. I spent an inordinate amount of time figuring out what I needed to do vocally to make it sound exact jigsaw. And I'm really close. I'm out of practice right now because I've been talking for 30 minutes, but it's like, oh, we could have fun with that. Down to the last cup.
Jag.
Double fisting. Yeah, I saw the Jag license. What?
Yeah. It just occurred to me, we were talking in the show about that retro gaming bundle that you could get.
Mm-hmm.
There was a similar thing a while back that we talked about on the show. It's from the Pi Hut. It's the retro Raspberry Pi 3 gaming bundle. And it's around the same price, a bit more expensive. It's like $80 or 65 pounds. But it comes with two controllers. Two USB SNES looking controllers.
No one likes those knockoff little. I always feel like, oh, look, it's a little control. I crushed him. It's like my two favorite controllers of all time. Well, one that I've legitimately used was the original 3-button Genesis controller. I was like, yeah, all right, that's a reasonable size controller.
Mm-hmm.
And the original Xbox controller, the Duke. I was like, I can dig this.
The big one, the palm-sized one, it's like, oh, that's the entire controller. Huh.
There was one at the thrift store I thought about picking up, and it's like, man, that thing needs a month under intense UV light before I'd even think about touching it. It was not in a good way at all. Exactly. You can mod it.
For the Saturn controller, you need some Chinese adapters. You can also get some rebranded ones, but the Chinese, just the non-brand, white brand, whatever you want to call them, they just they work. It's just missing a few buttons, as it turns out. Didn't have like analog sticks back in the day. Didn't have the clicky down on the analog sticks. Doesn't have the trigger action, so it's just a button press on the triggers. Yeah.
Oh no. I put up the Excluent controller. I mean, thanks to Strider trying to torch me with this, I've gotten pretty used to using this Areola controller, the Steamy controller, which you can use with gloves on.
Yeah, and what's his name? What's his handle? Lockdonen. Lockdonen got me this one. He also does some very, very nice leather working stuff. If you follow him on Twitter every now and again, he'll post like a little picture of it. Very nice. But thank you very much, Lockdonin. This is outside of the DualShock 2, one of my favorite all-time controllers.
Hold
Really
on.
good job there, Valve.
Let me see the USB plug on yours again. Okay, it must have just been how the light was hitting it.
It's a micro USB.
Yeah, same thing. It was the light was hitting it weird, and I was like, wait a minute, mine doesn't look like that.
No.
Writing crops?
It's a bit big, granted, given that my right hand isn't symmetrical to my left one. But if I actually set it down on one side, I can actually get to all the buttons and not touch the areola. So, yeah, I just got used to it.
Right. We got anything else going on? Any big parties? Anybody do anything interesting between now and Saturday?
No.
Hmm?
February is Nori month. It's her birthday and Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah, it is that time of season, isn't it? I saw some of those things up.
Mm-hmm.
This guy love you this much chocolate.
Oh, Tesco. Tesco here is just like it's Easter / Valentine, so the entire like first aisle is just chocolates and chocolate eggs and all that stuff. Right. Okay.
Yeah, right. It's like okay. How did that? Well, that's just. I mean, if you're a huge fan of capitalism, which I kind of am, I'm more of an anarcho-capitalist. It's like, you go capitalism. That talk about a holiday that just get turned into. It's like we made products just for this holiday, and there is nothing behind Valentine's Day other than just. It's almost as brilliant as De Beers
Buying
with
shit for your loved one.
almost
or your pretend loved one.
as good as the con job that they pulled off the convincing modern society that diamonds are a precious gem. They're not. You can scrape them off the ground.
You know that graphite pencil that you probably have on your desk somewhere, buried under layers and layers of stuff? Give that enough pressure and enough time, and there you go.
Oh, they've already figured out how to make artificial diamonds. The way they detect them is that they're flawless.
Uh-huh. The zirconias.
No, diamonds. They're not zirconia. There's a company making artificial.
Oh, yeah. Oh, actual diamonds. All right.
No. De Beers is a monopoly. That's why they can't operate in the United States, because they control the supply.
Yeah.
There's some really good, just like straight up documentaries on the whole diamond trade that are fast, and they're not conspiracy at all. They're just like, yeah, this is how it rolls, man. Like up until the 1920s, the diamond was not even a considered a precious gem, especially not for marriage. Before that, it was like opals and stuff like that. It was a marketing campaign. It's like, good on. I'm not saying it's like, oh, wake up, sheeple. It's like, good on, man. That's impressive.
That is the capitalist machine working as intended. Buying Valentine's chocolates for a Huck pillow. Yeah. Get your waifu some chocolate mirror.
Has Easter already happened?
No, it's April 1st this year.
Oh, so the chocolate Jesuses aren't out yet. Okay.
Yeah. The chocolate Jesuses are a lie this year.
The wet food. See, I can visualize this though. I've seen Strider sloshed enough to where I would believe that you could hand him some wet food and he would shout out on it. Dinky D, man.
uh,
You'd have to eat 2
I
chocolate
actually
Jesuses.
managed to get. I actually managed to sneak in just enough Mad Max lore into the Mad Max game. Just the world building stuff. That was alright. It's just a shame that there wasn't a whole lot else to the game.
Yeah, I got to the last bit where you gotta beat what's his face, and I just uninstalled it. Oh,
Yeah.
I just left it there. It's like, yeah, I'm done with it. I got like what 60 hours in it. That's too much. You know, I
I
was
think it took
definitely.
me like 25 hours to basically 100% everything that were the stupid achievements. Like you have to be in a specific archangel and do a specific thing in a certain way. Those I just said, you know what? No. There's one that's actually called being overly specific, and you have to be. I think it's Aurelian. It's the gold one. You have to be in the gold one and destroy an enemy vehicle in the middle of a sandstorm.
I'm not an achievement monkey, but I would have probably tried that. But yeah, achievements don't apply to me. I tried to 100% Hollow Knight, which is they're about to drop another big free content batch
Yep.
on Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight's got some stuff. You're like, oh, okay, that no, I don't have that kind of time, man.
Yeah, Hollow Knight went. So you like Metroidvanias, huh? So here's a Metroidvania that you can probably play for the rest of your life and never see everything.
Hmm.
There you go.
And it's pretty. It's not pixel junk.
It is. And it runs on the Unity engine and the controls are tight.
Hmm.
It's just perfect example all around. It's like you want to use the Unity engine. Here's a good example. Tight controls, looks pretty, and it's a Metroidvania. It's got tons of stuff for you to do.
I'm gonna do my best, and sometime during this year to get Team Cherry on, some people from Team Cherry, so we can just talk to them about Hollow Knight because I think we all enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Them, hopefully, maybe we'll
Yeah,
get the
outside
protein
of
people on.
the pony game,
Mhm.
outside of the pony game, that was the game that came the closest.
But that is definitely
Just
one of
have
the
food
things of
tacos.
sticking together a like renting a spot for a studio is moving where the bandwidth is. It's like, jeez, really? All right. But to do interviews and stuff like that, so we're not trying to walk people through our kludge system of return video that kind of halfway works. Yeah, achievements don't keep me coming back to games at all. If it farts out an achievement, I'm like, all right, I guess I got one. I find trading cards annoying. It's like, can I just cut that off?
You probably have a sizable chunk of cash in all those trading cards you're not using.
Oh, I'll get some that are worth some banks on, like the foil ones.
Yeah.
They will never get sold.
I think the most expensive thing I had was a gun skin that I unlocked because every now and then you unlock gun skins on Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And I unlocked one that apparently it's not really rare because there's thousands of other people on the Steam market selling it, but people seem to want it really bad. It was like €9 that I sold it for. That's pretty good.
Strider, what are you looking for some part-time work?
There, you can keep half of what you managed to sell the cards for. There you go.
Yeah, I just keep them. I've had somebody who's like, "Hey, could I have some of your cards?" No, they're mine. I earned them by accident. All right, beautiful people. It's coming up to where we gotta bounce out of here.
Yep.
The new wiring seems to mostly work. So maybe, just maybe, that mythical walkthrough of how everything's connected will happen. Again, I'm glad I didn't go because it's like, remember that last time when I showed you everything that was set up? Completely different now. But also, this
That's
gives us
your toy.
Yeah, toy. I sat down here countless hours on end doing check 1-2s. Ooh, boy, it's a fucking party, Pedro. All right. Dynafire, we'll see you tomorrow. Jordan's going to be doing something. Maybe we'll play some of that Magic 2 multiplayer. I don't know. Stranger things have been known to happen. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. I almost ripped my headphones out.